Good morning, Conflict and Courage, June 17th, a suicide. Proverbs 11:5 says, "The righteousness of the perfect shall direct his way, but the wicked shall fall by his own wickedness." And I think the story of King Saul is one of the saddest stories in all of the Bible. He started off with such potential. God would have done great things through him, but he disobeyed and he was set in doing his own thing in rebellion. And it says in the Bible that rebellion is like witchcraft. So it makes sense that he went to the witch, right? But let's see what happens to Saul. On the plain of Shunem and the slopes of Mount Gilboa, the armies of Israel and the hosts of the Philistines closed in mortal combat. Though the fearful scene in the cave of Endor had driven all hope from his heart, Saul fought with desperate valor for his throne and his kingdom, but it was in vain. The men of Israel fled from before the Philistines. So they were running away from their enemies and fell down slain in Mount Gilboa. Three brave sons, we know one of them was Jonathan, of the king died at his side. So he saw his own sons being killed. The archers pressed upon Saul. He had seen his soldiers falling around him and his princely sons cut down by the sword, himself wounded. He could neither fight nor fly. Escape was impossible, and determined not to be taken alive by the Philistines, he bade his armor bearer, he said, "Draw thy sword and thrust me through therewith." When the man refused to lift his hand against the Lord's anointed, rightfully so, Saul took his own life by falling upon his sword. Thus the first king of Israel perished with the guilt of self-murder upon his soul. By following the dictates of Satan, Saul was himself hastening the very result which with unsanctified ability he was endeavoring to avert. The counsel of the Lord had been disregarded again and again by the rebellious king, and the Lord had given him up to the folly of his own wisdom. The influences of the Spirit of God would have restrained him from the course of evil which he had chosen, that eventually worked out his ruin. God hates all sin, and when man persistently refuses all the counsel of heaven, he is left to the deceptions of the enemy, to be drawn away of his own lusts and enticed. The first king of Israel proved a failure because he set his will above the will of God. Through the prophet Samuel, the Lord instructed Saul that as king of Israel, his course of action must be one of strictest integrity. I love that word, integrity. Then God would bless his government with prosperity. But Saul refused to make obedience to God his first consideration, and the principles of heaven the government of his conduct. He died in dishonor and despair. Tomorrow we'll read about David's reaction. I hope you have a great day today. Live courageously.